Hey, folks, welcome to Affiliate Nerd Out. I am your nerderator, Dustin House, spreading that good word about affiliate marketing. You're going to find me here every Thursday at noon with a recorded version of Affiliate Nerd Out. My guest today, Hafiz Doza, over at Inflection. He's the CEO and founder. Welcome to the Nerdatorium, Hafiz.
Thanks, Dustin. Appreciate being here. And as a fellow nerd, I'm excited for this nerd out.
I wish I would have had you on earlier. Schedules throughout the holiday season didn't comply with it, but I'm glad you're here now and we're doing this. And if you'd like to be in Hafiz's seat, go to dustinhouse.com/nerd and drop a form, fill, and tell me what you want to nerd about. I want to hear more. But without further ado, Hafiz, who are you?
I am a nerd. I've been building tech for over 25 years. Started back in the day. I building websites in the dot-com boom. Built a website with some song lyrics that exploded in popularity, had all this organic search traffic. And so I suddenly had to figure out how to monetize traffic, which got me into the affiliate game in 2003. Now there's been 20 years of affiliate and marketing industry experience. I like playing at the intersection between tech and marketing and built businesses in the space, an ad network, a video sharing website that we scaled and sold. The thing that I was working on right before what I'm going to do right now is a marketing agency. We did growth marketing for high growth venture backed D2C companies focused on health and wellness, any product or service that improves physical or emotional, spiritual, and mental well being. And yeah, most recently building now a tech play. So back to my roots. I'm enjoying that, moving from a services business, which I don't think is in my DNA as much, to a tech business in the affiliate world called Inflection that you touched on there. That's who I am.
I've known you for a little over 6 months and had the pleasure of working for Inflection. I'm blown away at how you started this company to change the industry. I'm glad to be a part of it. And it's been a pleasure working with you so far. So really excited to have you here and pick your brains. Tell us about Inflection. What do you do and who do you serve?
We help brands that have an offer that when we literally personalize the landing page for each affiliate or influencer so that the conversion rates shoot through the roof by having that page speak to the exact interests of that influencer or affiliate's audience. And this is actually built within our agency. It was spawned within the agency.
Mm.
We would, I think, I like to pride ourselves on like leaving no stone unturned for growth. We tweak a little bit of copy for a particular affiliate on a lander. We would do that. We would clone the landing page. We would make another version of it and have that page speak to that influencer or affiliate's audience. And that was great. It worked, but it was a pain to manage. And we'd have hundreds of pages cloned, and that was a work to make happen.
Yeah.
And what we learned is actually it's even more work to upkeep that afterwards. Anytime there's a sale, you have to update a bunch of pages with like sale imagery, and then 2 weeks later, take it back down and switch all this kind of stuff. It was just such a lot of work. So we started building this tooling internally to go make our lives easier. I'm a tech guy. So we started building this tooling internally and realized there's something powerful here for others to use. We spun it out of the agency and built this into its own business and focused, like I said, on anyone that's got a product that's working with partners and personalized landing pages so that the conversion rates go up. And that just makes it stickier because for stickier partnerships, because we found too often there was so much churn and burn with affiliates. So you'd have
Right.
recruit 20 of them and then 19 of them would leave because it didn't work out. So we're able to change that.
Incredible. Every good software is designed out of necessity, right? You
Yeah.
couldn't find the solution, so you go out and build it yourself. And I've just been so impressed about what you guys have built here. And from an affiliate manager standpoint, building a co-branded landing pages for my affiliates that I know is going to improve the conversion rate. Everybody's told me that, but the process of it has been terrible throughout my career. I have to request it from develop has to go and make it however they do it. And that process takes a month. And by that month's time, that thing is the affiliate's already over it. They're on to the
Yep.
next thing.
Exactly.
I was impressed how easy it is to build on Inflection, a co-branded landing page in 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned that it was that exact problem. There's actually two different groups of companies that we find. There's either the companies that are so small and nimble but they don't have those resources to actually
Mhm.
like a dedicated developer to keep doing this kind of stuff all the time. So there's that class of companies. And then there's the ones that are too big where now the development team is in a different department and you got to put in like a work order to make this page goes into a queue, into a sprint, and it comes out 4 or 5 weeks later. And yeah, there's a momentum play. Like with the partner, they're no longer interested because they've moved on to the next thing. So we actually haven't found a company that's got like that sweet spot that still has the resources, but it's structured in a nimble way. Partnerships teams are siloed, lacking resources. Other channels get more resources outside their limited scope. And so that's the problem we're able to solve for people that are like feel a little siloed and yeah, lacking the resources.
For sure. You had a product here that's building landing pages for your affiliates, but you also decided to stack on the tech stack to do the tracking and all the bells and whistles to help affiliate managers. With all that, what makes you different than standard affiliate networks?
We've got landing page personalizations, co-branding. We do the co-branding is great. We're platform agnostic. You don't have to be on
Yeah.
Shopify or whatever. We built some really unique technology that we got patent pending on that allows it to work on literally any technology out there. And it's because we've done it in a different way that is done client side on the user's browser. Beyond the co-branding, it actually, what we do is we allow for the entire messaging to get personalized. And that's where, from our A/B testing, that's where we see actually the bigger lift. Because in the affiliate world, especially some of the super affiliates out there, they're really good with angles and hooks and like the kind
Mm.
of like detailed nuances of psychology, whereas most influencers out there are not. They don't have what it takes to make that kind of bridge between what they're interested in and then like the lander that they send traffic to is it's completely different. It doesn't match, and that's where then the conversion rates start breaking down. So not only do we do the co-branding, but it's full customization of the funnel and the messaging on it, and that's how we send out.
Let's get into the topic of the day, the scale formula. Now, this is something that I saw you present probably 8 months ago, got you on my radar and involved with you guys. I was so impressed by what you were doing here, and I've watched you through the last 6 months hone this and make it even better. Can you tell us a little bit of what this approach is, the scale formula?
Our approach to growing any partnership program for a brand is the scale formula. S is solve for the gaps. C is customization of the marketing funnel. A is audience alignment and engagement. L is leverage and negotiations. And the E is exclusivity. So those are obviously very vague, high level ones, but I'm going to dive into them and I'll do that in kind of the order of the most followed to what I think is the biggest gap most people are missing. Starting with the A, most people are handling that. I'd call that like in 2024 table stakes or almost 2025. That's pretty much table stakes. So A in scale is audience alignment and engagement. It's making sure the audience characteristics of your potential partner match up with your ideal customer's profile
Sure.
and that the partner has high engagement and their audience has a high affinity for that partner. So like I said, I think that's table stakes. Your audience learned a lot through your podcast. So I think we'll leave that one and go into the meatier topics here. The L in scale stands for leverage in negotiations, structuring the deal so it drives bottom line profitability for both partners. I'm not going to go into details on hybrid models between pay per post or straight commission. The thing in general that I've always found that works here is just to be transparent. If there's a certain partner who really wants pay per post, give them what they want, but be honest with them and tell them, look, okay, I'll give you what you want. But for me, what I need to make that happen is, well, let's give a sample here. So let's say they want $5,000 for a post and that's relatively high for your budget. It'll make a meaningful impact if it flops. Be transparent. You can have 5,000 that works. What I need to make this work on my end is 100 sales, whatever your numbers are. If they don't hit that, then structure it that they have to do a make good to get there. It's called partnership marketing for a reason. If you can't have open and honest conversations with a partner, you probably shouldn't be partners. That's an example of how you can structure these deals. You got to know your numbers, and not all conversions are equal. Measure not just the conversion rates or CPAs or whatever in your tool that you're tracking or Google Analytics, whatever it is, but you need to measure how effectively does this partner close sales versus how much help do they need and assists do they need from other channels. I know you're a sports guy, so you got assists from other channels. I found two effective ways to do this that we like doing. This was again in the agency days, we started developing these kind of methodologies. One is with a post-purchase survey.
Yeah.
That's easy to do if you're not already doing it, but if you are, then maybe the things I'll mention here will tweak it a bit, but it's super cheap to do. There's like free or probably your $20, $30 a month apps that do this. After someone buys on the order confirmation page, ask them, hey, how did you first hear about us? Put the channels you typically market through. If you do ads, put social media. If you do TV, put that there. For the partnership's perspective, the answer I like to put in the multiple choice is someone I follow online.
Okay.
And then, oh, sorry, one other thing. The tool you choose, make sure it can do like conditional follow-up questions. So based on what they choose, you'd ask like a follow-up. So if they choose someone I follow online, then ask the follow-up, who was that? Ask them for the details on that name. And that's obviously like a not multiple choice, but a blank, like a text box. And the thing you'll find when you analyze that data is your strongest partners, the one that actually drive the most sales, not from what your affiliate tool reports, but like the actual have the biggest impact. The strongest partners will get name dropped there,
Yeah.
and the weakest partners will not as much, relatively speaking. So that's one key method.
That's a really interesting like metric to be bringing in and a great way to recruit guys not in your program. If they're name dropping these names and it's happening multiple times, that's a
Yeah,
really good
absolutely.
way to approach and like flatter somebody very quickly.
Yep,
Like
for
we've
sure.
got a lot of our users that are saying they're following you. We think your audience is just matched up perfectly with ours. Who would you like to be a partner? That's a good the door.
Yeah, yeah. It's not always going to be the ones you have formal relationships with. Definitely. The other one I like using is an MTA platform or a multi-touch attribution platform.
Okay.
So Rockerbox, if your budget supports it, it's on the more expensive side, but Triple Whale is like a good mid-priced alternative. And what these tools really do is they let you understand your buyer's journey. So understanding things like what other touch points are needed to convert that user. And you can see like the tools will show you like all the unique combinations of channels that like were involved in each sale and how long it took to convert the average time to convert a sale, the average number of touch points that each partner had, things like that. So even though your affiliate platform may say, hey, these two partners were equal, had the equal number of sales, the MTA platform can show you additional insights.
Hmm.
And so I remember this one example here where there was two partners with one brand over the same time period. And I think they had left 800 or so sales each in X period, whatever. I think it was a 1 month range. And partner A had roughly 30% of their sales needing no other touch points, which means that 70% needed some sort of an assist from another channel. It required a retargeting ad or something else that you were investing in, even if it's not a fixed cost, an ad that was shown, but like even your social media or organic search. Partner B had 65% needing no other touch points and 10 days to convert.
Hmm.
Both partners are paid the same CPA. Partner A would be losing money because you're paying the same result or the same input to get an output that needs more help and more investment from your own dollars and other channels to get that same output. So that's where having an MTA platform can be extremely helpful to understanding who are your people that are able to close and not need that assist and not need that other investment.
Beautiful. Another big factor that's the average order value, one of those
Yep.
big metrics that affiliates like what is the average order value of the products that they're bringing home for you is a big metric and it helps you pay them more in the long run. The quality of sales from their audience is much bigger. What else is missing in the scale formula?
Yeah, a good MTA platform will tell you the retention differences per channel too. If partner A has a 5 month lifetime value and partner B has a 9 month lifetime value, those are some
Right.
things the platform will show. The next one in the scale formula is the E, which stands for exclusivity. To make your offer content. Content is still king. I remember that quote. It hasn't changed. So how do you position your offer as content? I'll give an example of what this looks like, where it's one brand. Normally, their affiliates are able to offer their audience a 20% off discount for buying through their link or code. We split up the year into week chunks, so 52 weeks a year. There's a couple blackout periods like Black Friday or whatever. So I think we ended up with like 45 bookable slots. The top affiliates was offered the ability to book into those slots. When they booked in, their offer got upgraded to 25% off plus a free gift with purchase.
Wow.
And so for that 1 week, they could go out to their audience being like, look, this is literally the best deal on the planet that you'll ever find for this product. Google, like, you won't find it anywhere else. The offer part actually became content. It was something of value. Because what is content? It's something of value that you bring to someone else. That's all that content is. When we're giving the best deal, that's content too. It's valuable. Another one I like was what Goli gummies are doing on TikTok Shop. If you, as the influencer, sell 500,000 within a certain period, you get a Porsche. Yeah, it's pretty cool. This is one of the higher end tiers. The next tier up is if you sell $1 million, you'll get a Lambo or a condo in downtown Miami. I've seen TikToks of people asking their followers for help to get a new car or a home by buying these gummies through their link. This offer, even though it's for the influencer, turned into content
Huh.
itself, which was a brilliant move on their part.
Oh, for sure. The affiliates and their landing pages and giving them the best discount. Like there is a myth that content and influencers are at the top of the funnel and they're not going to be able to close those deals. But if you give them the opportunity with this discount, that thing converts way higher than most other products. And you don't need those coupon sites to close.
Exactly.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think a lot of people, if you're doing all of the A, L, and E, like they stop there. I think a lot of people are missing what the S and the C are. And so the S in scale stands for solving for the gaps. And that's basically bringing the right kind of partners that plug the holes in your buyer's journey. So to do that, you need to understand what's the weak points in your buyer's journey and then what kind of partners would fill that. My favorite example of this is a long time ago in the 80s. Nike was not, in the early 80s, Nike was not yet considered a cool brand relative to the other competitors back then, like Adidas or whoever. They were looking for someone that they could basically hitch the wagon to
Mhm.
that would be highly aspirational and make their products more interesting because they're technically, I'm sure I didn't buy shoes in the 80s, early 80s, but I'm assuming that at least they were technically on par, but they weren't still considered cool enough yet. So they picked Michael Jordan, as you've seen the movie or know about the history of Nike to this, and they signed him. And you can't get a more like definition of an aspirational figure than the guy who had his slogan after his name, "Be like Mike." That's literally the definition of aspirational. So that obviously ended up having major change in Nike's brand perception. They identified it was a desirability gap. And yeah, and how they fixed that was to sign someone that would change that. Basically, you got to look at what is that weak point in your buyer's journey. Is it a brand awareness, trust, credibility, education, status, or desirability if you're like a luxury brand? And each of those things will have a different kind of partner. For example, if it's education, who are you working with? A social media influencer putting out short form content, or are you going to work with long form podcasts if that's your biggest gap in your buyer's journey? Identifying that and then picking partners based on that is key. A lot of people are missing.
Oh, that's so key in the recognition of who the kind of partners that you need to be working with is and who you should be targeting out there. And how do you go about deciding on what constitutes as long form? You're not going to find Instagrammers that are doing much long form content, but there might be there long enough to educate somebody. What defines long form in that
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, there are definitely some examples. Rare, you do find longer reels and stuff like that, but
Sure.
it's definitely not common. And people are looking for the short bites on social media. I think it depends on the gap in your buyer's journey and how long you need to educate someone. If it's education, how long do you need to fill that gap? Is it something that you can spend 3 minutes of explanation on if you make it easy to understand? Or is it something that needs because I come from working with a lot of health and wellness products and some of them need a deeper dive, like 10, 20 minute explanation that you wouldn't, though, that you could do it on social, but like it would be, it's
Mhm.
not what people are coming to get on socials, like that long form education. They want to sit while they're drive, listen to a podcast. That's where people are looking for that kind of um, education.
Usually, the higher the price tag, the more education you're going to have to give somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a niche product or something people haven't heard about before, if you're trying to really, if that's your issue, like I can think
Yeah.
of a brand that was like, they've got a lot of, one of the brands we work with, I think almost all except one of the NFL teams using their product. They've got celebrities using their product, but most people would have never heard about them in like the average consumer. And they're trying to go now after more mass market approach. And but the product is still very like not sciencey. It's very simple, but needs an explanation. So you want to go. So that company literally has hired like podcast advocates that go out on podcasts on their behalf. They've tailored it so that they have certain, like out of those 4 hosts, each of them cater to a different demographic group. So they can go on a wide variety of podcasts
Yeah.
and but they know each of them are knowledgeable in the subject and can spend an hour talking about it.
How do we wrap this up? One more letter.
There is one more letter. Let's see, customization of the marketing funnel. The first 4 were how to make the deal, who to make the deal with, and how to set up the deal terms. The last one is how to execute partnership. For this, understand the deeper use cases of why someone buys a product. I like using my Aura ring as an example. That it's on your finger. Obviously, it's a ring, and you can measure a bunch of vitals in your body. In my opinion, it's the best wearable on the market. Quick science lesson: both collagen and testosterone are made while you sleep. So it actually opens up the opportunity to work with 2 very different audiences. So you could do like a workout YouTuber, and that angle could be sleep better with using Aura, which lets you get more testosterone, which gives you better gains at the gym. That's a very logical setup kind of partner and why it makes sense for them to partner. Another example would be a beauty blogger where you sleep better, produce more collagen, get that glowing skin. And it's literally beauty sleep. 2 completely different use cases should have 2 completely different funnels. Most programs would dump both users into the same spot. Hopefully a nice top of funnel landing page, but in some cases for brands like on the homepage, neither of those tactics are going to be effective. And the reason is because you never know how people are going to interpret things and you have to make the connections for them. And that's why podcast is great. But if you're just coming off a social post, and even if the influencer educates you in the things I was just saying, you end up on the lander. There's no mention of testosterone. There's no mention of collagen or skin. Now you create that breakage, and then you rely on the user remembering, oh, okay, that's what they said. And I can see, but they connect the dots themselves. You don't want to do that. You have to connect the dots for people. Actually can I share my screen? I want to share one of my favorite, let me find it here.
Yeah.
Videos of why
Go for
you
it.
have to do this. I'll describe it as well. One second, let me pull it up. This is coming through.
Let me
Cool.
blow it up.
For people listening, there's a fire truck on the side of the road outside a fire hall across the sidewalk. And it looks like these firemen are hosing down their fire truck with not like a big 6-inch diameter fire hose, but just looks like a regular garden hose. And so we play this here. So this lady's walking across the sidewalk. She's got a grocery bag and what would be, she just normally walk over it. But this is why you have to connect the dots for people. People just do all these weird, like, just think all sorts of illogical things. So this lady's walking across the sidewalk, and instead of just stepping over the hose, is literally 1 inch high. She bends down, picks up the hose, and wraps it over her head, and continues walking by. And the 3 firemen are just like looking at each other, wondering what the hell happened. This makes no sense. I love that example. You just don't know what's going to go through someone's head. And I guarantee you right now that you have a funnel online. There are people doing the equivalent of that on your landing page. And there's no security camera. This is like a security camera shot. There's no security camera well, I guess there is. You can use tools like Microsoft Clarity or whatever. But generally, unless you're going through every one of them, you don't see what people are thinking. You have to make it easy. You have to connect the dots for them, understanding your use cases. I like using the jobs to be done framework for that, doing customer surveys. Or another gold mine is just reading your reviews. There's so many awesome things you'll find in your reviews that are like, people will say, hey, I bought this product looking to solve X, and oh my gosh, it's amazing for that. And whatever that X is, that's an example of a use case, the underlying use case. And so understanding your underlying use cases firstly, and then 2, bridge the gap for the user. Create a customized lander for each use case, or ideally even each partner. And so then make sure the right traffic goes to the right lander. So that's where we've seen A/B tests where using the tools that we build at Inflection to do this have improved conversion rates 30, 40, 50, and even some cases like 90% by just changing the headline and subheadline to match what the traffic coming in was looking for versus the generic one that's on the lander. Even though that generic one was great, it's doing millions on its own, but it wasn't the right fit for that audience. And you just have to connect the dots for people. It's full funnel alignment.
Yeah, gotcha. And I feel like the word customization isn't new into the marketing world. Of course, we've always had A/B landing pages and testing over the last 15 years in marketing. I've seen this come and go. The word customization keeps coming up from companies, but I don't feel like the technology has been there, and it sure hasn't been in the affiliate space. This is the last channel that anybody is going to work on customization of landing pages for. So why is it now that the scale formula is really coming to fruition?
There's a bigger and bigger reliance on partnerships. On the brands we see 60, 70% of their sales have some sort of uh, reliance on partnerships to drive their growth. And every successful brand relies on partnerships to some degree or another.
Mhm.
I think like you have all the other channels that can be so volatile. Like right now, I know like email has been challenging with changes in the industry this year. Paid ads has always been ups and downs. Years ago, you had the iOS 14.5 issues. Last February, you had algorithm issues on Meta. All the talk on social right now is of these changes coming in the health space on Meta, and some people are calling apocalyptic. So there's always just these kind of changes that are happening from other channels where you don't have full control. The trend with influencers has been, in many cases, it's not been a performance channel. It's been like more of an awareness play and a brand play for some brands. And I think that was primarily driven in the period of low interest rates where these brands would get like very well funded and would just dump money into all channels, not really looking at the bottom line. That's changed now that interest rates aren't free. Money's not free. And so they actually have to care what the bottom line impact is. So the influencer channels are changing too and becoming more measured and bottom line oriented. The scale formula can help turn that channel performance oriented. Aspect is the enablement of personalization of funnels has been hard because you have to sit there with a copywriter writing custom funnel for each. That's not practical. It wasn't until 2 years ago that AI became mainstream. That's fueled all that and coalesced this trend. And that's getting easier and easier to write copy at scale with AI. I think that's a key reason why this is the right time on the AI front. I think that that's going to actually be ironically, driving up the cost of paid ads long term. The only winners are going to be Meta, Google, TikTok, etc. Because you have ads are auction based, right? Ad platforms are auction based. You have supply demand. You have your supply of ad inventory is literally eyeballs on the site. So it seems that's fixed for a moment. People aren't, unless there's like trends in people's usage of social media or whatever platforms. Your number of eyeballs is constrained by other factors, but the demand for ads is what fluctuates, right? Black Friday just finished. There was a huge demand for ads. CPMs go up, CPCs go up, etc. So that's how the ad industry works. And when with AI there, like that's definitely going to make making good creative easier, right? That's one of its biggest use cases now. In the short term, you may get a lift in high conversion rate, and that's going to be good for you. In the long term, everybody's going to have access to those tools. It's democratize making good creative. It's going to democratize good media buying, whether it's platform tweaks that Google and Meta will do, or whether it's third-party tools you latch on and audience generation, all that kind of stuff is changing with AI. The demand for ads will increase. And as more people are able to get those kind of optimized funnels and all that, naturally they're going to want to bid more. When you bid more, demand goes up. When everybody bids more, demand goes up and prices of ads go up until the point that doesn't make sense for you. And that's like that new equilibrium in supply demand. Over time, people's ROAS have been generally fixed on a global scale, whether through changes in the ad industry over digital ads for 20 years. The winners are Meta and Google. Seeing those rises in prices go to their bottom line. That's the brilliance of, from their perspective, supply and demand equalizes. The more people that get into ads, the more the prices rise to the point where it sets this new equilibrium, and they're the beneficiaries of that. You can't rely on using AI to scale with paid ads. There's going to be more importance on partnerships.
Beautifully said. Totally agree on all aspects. As we watch TikTok affiliate blow up, I think there's still much more room for landing pages to be developed into better, and this customized audience and personalization next step that's going to come in. We're going to see that in the next few years, which is a really big reason why I came on board with Inflection and you guys, because I saw the cool technology you guys are doing and solving a problem. I want to be part of that solution in the future. So what's next for Inflection?
Our North Star is double your conversion rates and have you spend 90% less time to achieve that, so that you can focus on the time aspect is you can focus on building relationships with partners. That's the part that at least I hope that AI is not going to automate. If it does, we have probably issues as a human species. But I think a lot of affiliate managers, influencer managers, they spend a lot of time twisting dials, doing manual work. And our goal is to be able to automate 90% of that and making it so that the funnel performs twice as good. We're building our tooling in that direction. Some big stuff we're going to be launching in Q1 next year is being able to automatically listen to the content that a social influencer, emailer, or podcaster is putting out online on their channels, and then automatically making suggestions on how to rewrite your landing page using high converting copy that is derived from what that partner is putting out on social, and understand and using that to understand what their audience is interested in, and then making it so that you can do that turnkey without having to hire a team of people to go do that for you.
If you want to see more on the scale formula, go to this QR code above me. If you want to go check out Inflection, go check out a demo, inflection.ai/demo to get there. Lastly, as we wrap this up, how do we connect with you, Hafiz?
Yeah, so you can find me on linkedin.com/in/Hafiz, HAAFIZ, or go to inflection.ai, inflektion.ai.
Outstanding. Before I leave you, let's explain this post here. I found a picture of you from the past with this stereotypical CEO pose. Where did you go? Where did you change this look to what you've got today with the faux hawk and the shaved face and the pose?
Wow. I didn't even know that photo existed. I think it said like Pacific. I think that was like Canadian Pacific Railway in there. I'm from Canada. I saw a train. I have to figure that out. I used to have really short hair. I got it tied up today. Since COVID, I haven't gotten a haircut since lockdown started. I used to
Like,
number one blade on the side. I think it's about time. I've almost 5 years since then. I just haven't had the time. I now have the desire to get a haircut. My wife really wants me to. This Christmas holidays, I'll have the time and go to the barber. I've just been growing out my hair.
oh, great. What a Christmas gift for her. Awesome. Awesome. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge. Friendship over the past 6 months and working with you has been a pleasure. See you out there, Hafiz.